Um, ladies and gentlemen, it's happening. It's happening. The very slow and painful demise of movie theaters is essentially being solidified in front of our eyes here. So we just got word this past week, and this particular article comes to us um, uh, by way of IndieWire. Christopher Nolan's Tenet has been removed by Warner Brother, or I'm sorry, Christopher Nolan's Tenet has been moved by Warner Brothers from its original July 17th release date to July 31st as the studio continues to recognize its release calendar in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. The studio on Friday also moved back a pack of other dates, including releases for Wonder Woman 1984 and the upcoming Matrix sequel. In its place, Warner Brothers will re release Nolan's Inception on July 17th in theaters, time for the film's 10th anniversary. Yeah, it's fucking happening, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't think it's happening, it's happening.
Yo, as great as Inception was, I'm not gonna fucking go to the movie theaters to see that. It's on Netflix. I can watch this. In the room I'm in right now, there's a couch right there, and there's a TV right here. I can go on that couch and turn on that TV and watch it. Why the fuck am I gonna go to a movie theater and risk running into Corona?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that. But we should call this segment of the show "Pump Fake" because we're going to go through a list of a couple other movies that did the same pump fake. I commend Christopher Nolan. I commend you, Warner Brothers for you know for selling me the deep route and then checking down to the tight end. Hey, listen, you still got the first down. You got another fresh set of downs. Actually, the clock is running, but you're still in a position to win the game here.
Yeah.
We're still going to stay with football analogies for a while. So, I think this is going to happen. Like, we felt it. We knew it was going to happen. We knew that July 17th was just around the corner, and there was no way that this movie was going to be in theaters by then. People aren't going to be comfortable going back to the movie theaters by then. I feel like as much as I would have liked to have seen them stick to their guns and be in theaters on July 17th, we knew that this was going to happen.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I didn't like. I was like caught 50-50 of like, I think there's a good chance that it'll show, but then I also think there's a good chance they might move it this close to the release date. I didn't think that they wait this close. Like, we're what, exactly like 1 month away basically from the release. I thought for sure it'd have been like maybe 2 months ago that they would have thought, you know what, let's just hedge our bets and just like, let's just push it back, even if it is just like 2 weeks or like maybe like even a month, right? And then, and so when we get to this time when it's getting closer, we're not like, oh my God, they pushed it back, right? Because there's still clearly a concern, right? Um, we would have been like, oh, we've been known that. Like, they've been pushed it back, so it's fine. Like, we already know when it's coming. Like, it's fine. We'll wait till August or whenever to view the film. But now I think they fucked up, right? Because now they've shown their cards that they kind of know. Like, tell me why the fuck they think 2 weeks is going to do a goddamn, like, what is 2 weeks literally going to do aside from perhaps having the theaters maybe work out a little more of their plans, but they literally have this entire time to work out their plans. So if they don't have a coherent plan by now, they're never going to have one. uh, to be perfectly fucking honest.
So here's why the pump fake here was so good, right? They sold the post route to the single safety because they had single man coverage, right? And they had one safety over top. They sold the post route. The safety over top went with this with a wide receiver one, and then you got the middle of the field open to check down to the tight end, right? Little pump fake, sell it, bam, check down to
I
the
should have
tight end.
never mentioned Madden.
Yeah, never. So and here's what that buys. When I talk about that fresh set of downs, right? That's the 2 week window that they got. So they could run a few more plays, try and get some more yards, try and get another first down, try and score the touchdown and win the game. Now, the article says that they pushed the July 17th release date, which was the theatrical release date, and they pushed it to July 31st. It does not say a July 31st theatrical release.
Uh,
That could be a July 31st VOD
nope. Nope.
release,
Nope.
right?
Let me correct you there. So there's no fucking way Christopher Nolan's going to put this movie out on digital. No, absolutely no way. He's wholly
Finance the Does he own the rights to the movie? No, he directed the
No,
movie.
but he's
At a certain
he's a cash cow for WB. So the last thing that they want to do is to piss him off because really there's actually no other director like him right now in cinema, right? There's no other director that gets the budgets that he does and is able to actually like have a return on that investment with doing original titles. There's name to me like one other person who's giving that same return on investment like Christopher Nolan. There's nobody right now that's doing that. Um,
I, I get that, but I think Christopher Nolan is also smart enough to realize that if by July 31st, if people aren't confident enough to go back out to the movie
he,
theaters, the movie going to while it looks like a great movie, the movie's not going to do well financially. Um, the studio is going to suffer, the film is going to suffer because of that. I think he's smart enough to recognize that, and he's going to be open to a VOD release. Listen, if the cash cow, I get that reference, but you got to have grass to feed the cash cow. The farmer's got to be able to to make sure that the fields are green and ready and have the grass for that cash cow to eat. If this movie fucking sinks, then there's no grass on the field. You're not going to be able to feed the cash cow cash out of the
you,
cow.
that's gonna be the name of this episode, Cash Cow. Just because you named it like 50,000 times in the span of like 2 seconds. But for one, um, if you had the understanding of how Christopher Nolan views digital the way that I do, or any remote fan of his does, you know that there is no chance that he's going to allow that as the director of the film to allow this film to go straight to VOD. Impossible, right? To even conceive of that happening. Two, they actually don't need to do that, right? If Christopher Nolan is adamantly against releasing this on VOD, okay, then the next best option is just to move it back to whatever date and time might be good enough where we get at least enough of a grip of this coronavirus thing that it's not. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I was going to say 2 weeks is not enough time. They may as well push it back to
So
October or
that's going to
September.
be my next thing is that they actually might do that. I'm not saying that that's out of the window of possibility. And in fact, weirdly enough, I think that's again, I have there are other people out there with clearly like more inside knowledge than I do, clearly. But if I were to take a guess, I would say that 2 weeks means absolutely dick. 2 weeks is like, yo, we know this isn't going to work on July 17th. So what can we do to be sort of like at least to show people that like, hey, there's still a problem here. We're looking to fix it, but not scare them off if we move it like 2 months, right? You still have the anticipation for Tenet if you say July 31st, but you also let people know, hey, this might not work out, right? What I think is going to happen, and the most likely scenario is we're going to get inch closer, give it another like 2 weeks or so until like maybe we enter July. And if things don't dramatically shift, which they're definitely not as far as the coronavirus, in fact, it's probably going to get worse because of everything opening back up right now and people acting reckless. I've seen pictures, or not just pictures, but videos of people at like beaches and shit. No social distancing going on, no masks, no gloves, no nothing, right? It's just people just spazzing the fuck out like this is like a normal fucking, year or time, right? So things are definitely going to get, we're going to see the bounce back with the virus. And so at that time, I think they're just going to kick it back probably a month, maybe even 2 months. And in that case, they're going to move the entire slate back. It's not just going to be Tenet that moves; it's going to be everything that moves. And I think that's the most likely scenario because again, nothing's really changing as far as how coronavirus is being approached in society. In fact, it's moving, it's trending back into the other direction of like, oh shit, this is becoming more of a problem now that everybody's back in the wild. And so yeah, dude, I don't know, man. We made a video last week talking about what happens if Christopher Nolan's Tenet gets moved, and right around then I knew that they wouldn't be coming out with these articles if there wasn't something to it, like as far as like it being a likelihood that these things are gonna that these dates might be fluid and might move. So yeah, man. I don't see Nolan. I don't see that ever going to direct to VOD. So the worst possible case with the film is that it's just going to move its date back to, whatever date that they decide. But he's definitely would do that before releasing on VOD. Now, the other movie that we talked about that is actually premiering or was supposed to premiere directly after Tenet came out was Mulan, right? That I think is definitely going to VOD, and then that's going to create an entirely different scenario that I think is going to be interesting to watch. Because then at that point, if you have Tenet moving back, and if they change the day one more time for Tenet, dude, I think it's a wrap for theaters, dude. I think I don't. I think they were all hedging their bets on Tenet being the first film to bring everybody in. If that doesn't happen, then they're going to be looking to Mulan. But Mulan's definitely thinking about going to straight to VOD, and they most likely will go to VOD in that case. Uh, it might be a wrap, my dude.
Yeah, I mean, if Mulan moves, if Tenet moves, and if some of these other big movies that are coming out of pipeline that are supposed to hit in like August and September, if those move, I think theaters are done, and then Amazon buys them all up and use them as distribution warehouses. And again, we may get that show where we can now watch our delivery drivers deliver our packages. So
Way to tie it back.
always. So I want to talk about a few other here, some movies that have shifted. Wonder Woman has also pushed its release date back from August 14th to October 2nd. So we got a pump fake there. Again, we talked about Tenet. So we got a play action pump fake here coming out of, I forget what studio does these movies. So Godzilla versus Kong has been
Yeah,
pushed.
I believe that's Universal.
So that's been pushed back to May 21st, 2021. And then The Matrix 4 has been pushed back to April 1st, 2022. So, there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of moving parts. I think we're just going to see more of this.
Yeah, you know who's laughing like shit right now? What would you say?
No, I said who? Tell me.
Who's laughing like shit right now is whatever executives at Universal, right? Like, oh, okay. So AMC wanted to talk all that shit about possibly doing things on VOD, and now look at you, right? Tenet's probably going to be pushed back indefinitely. All the other releases are probably going to be pushed back indefinitely, and now we're not looking so fucking crazy about talking about a split of releasing things partly in theaters and then also on VOD. Yeah, we're not looking too wild with that shit right now, right? Like that's looking like more and more like probably where things are heading. And so, yeah, I think it's just, it's amazing how fast things changed or have changed in a very fucking short period of time. But yeah, it all kind of spells doom for movie theaters. And I don't want it to sound like I'm like giddy about that because I'm not. Clearly I love going to the fucking movies. And I think that clearly there are a lot of people who love that as well. But at some point you do have to deal with the fucking realities of the scenario, and you do have to again. And we've talked about it so many fucking times, but the theaters definitely have to come out with some sort of new model that they can do to like work within the scenario as it is now, to just bullishly just go ahead as if everything is kind of the same. And I'm not even just talking about the coronavirus. I'm just talking about just new technology even. It's like, it's foolish. So
Yeah. Cheaper snacks.
Yeah. So anyways, we will push forward. I had a fucking specific joke that I wanted to let off, and I forgot it in the amount of time that
no good joke ever starts with I had a specific joke.
I'm pretty sure it was fire though, my dude. I'm pretty sure it was flames.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, drop us a comment in the comment section below if you're watching this on YouTube. Let us know what you think about the pushback for Tenet. Does it spell doom for the for the movie theater industry, or is it just a little blip in the clusterfuck that has been this year for movie theaters? And hopefully after July 31st, the Tenet releases, they'll still be on schedule to stay afloat, so to speak, for the foreseeable future. Anyways, let us know what you think. All right, moving on to our last story of the day.